Alright, hello, and today we're going to be going over this Dragon Egg Dropper that was made by both me and Chez, and also a couple of other people like Siren. Yep. So, the first thing is, the reason that I made this was because I found that there were never really any Dragon Egg Droppers for Instant Fall that could drop 5 layers of Dragon Eggs, while also being very small, compact, and also very easy to build. So Instant Fall, it's not too hard to get if you do it correctly, which is exactly why I decided to make a Dragon Egg Dropper that was specifically designed for this. So we used a custom distribution here. These drop 64 eggs at a time because you can't use offhand for a reason that I'm going to get into later. And also we didn't take Helix distribution because that one was really painful to build. It was mainly because you need to go out 2 blocks and then up on both sides, like this. And then need to have both a tripwire and a string. Okay, right. So yeah, Helix needs to be like this, or it's 1 block further. I'm not sure. I'm not good with Helix. But yeah, that's basically how Helix works. So yeah, so you can do a full row in like 2 minutes. But other than that, that's pretty much how each individual line works. The way that I chained it, though, is kind of different. So you can see here that we have a flying machine, and this is kind of a special one, because on its way forward, the observer and the sandstone are both going to get pulled first, so it's going to power the block. But on the way back, the observer is going to get pulled first, and the sandstone's not. Which basically what that does is it lets the observer trigger, and then the sandstone block gets moved in. So what this machine does is basically it goes forward, and it can activate all of those repeaters, which is basically the trigger for the distribution, by the way. So here we have a trigger, over here well, this one's just dust, and we have the 2-tick repeater back here, but that doesn't really matter. We have 2 ticks over here, and also another 2 ticks over there. Also there's obsidian and a piston over there, but that's just for self-returning the machine. So yeah, that's pretty much how we triggered the distribution. There's one more line for actually triggering the distribution, and this is basically how you start it. You want to come down to here, so this section here is only on the first segment. So if you trigger this observer twice, the sticky piston is going to retract and extend, which basically powers this redstone line, which sends an update to the observer, and then, don't turn it on yet, Chez, I'm just gonna finish explaining. Which basically launches this flying machine, activates the first one almost immediately, and then we send that to both this one and this one. That's why we have a redstone line here, because if I were to try and use a flying machine, then the delay for the machine actually getting back. So basically the way that the distribution works is, every single time that machine goes, which I'm going to show later, this triggers for a pulling on the way back. So what that basically means is, when this pulls going forward, it's going to just pull this down, nothing's going to trigger, but on its way back it's going to get pushed up again, and it's going to trigger this whole redstone line, which basically just activates the whole distribution system. And that's the way that I get the dragon eggs to the player's position before the player even arrives. This was just the simplest solution to me. You might be able to modify it and make it better if you really want to. So yeah, I guess now we can start it up. So obviously make sure that you have dragon eggs and stuff, and you also place in the shulkers. I don't know if these were in the Lightmatic or not, but yeah. So if, Chez, you want to start it? So basically you want to double pulse that piston. That'll allow all the eggs to fall. So here you can see that they get pushed onto the fence gate. And over here, they immediately got dropped on the player. The player actually does need a full inventory, which I'm not even sure if this player has. I think it is. Yeah, okay. So, this is the activation for the whole machine. So you can activate it here. And also just to stop it, yeah, you can see Chez just did it. You can just remove that piston. So here on this is just the last layer. Also, yeah, these are barriers here. I guess, /give RP barrier. You can kind of see. This is the layout that we went for. It's just 6 layers, and this one just breaks 5 high. So on the very last layer, the eggs just get dropped, and they don't get broken, but they will get broken once you move forward and destroy the next layer. So that's basically what I did, because I didn't want to have slime on the bottom layer, but I wanted to break the bottom layer of dragon eggs, because that's a issue that a couple of other breakers have. Like I think Helix has that issue. There's also the better breaking that me and Ches did. But yeah, that was basically one of the issues that we had. So you can see here the fly machine is also going. It's actually right now it's just on its way back. That doesn't really matter though. So you can see here the observer is getting pulled, so it doesn't trigger the repeaters. And that was kind of a cool way to activate it. And also the fly machine will never get desynced with this machine, because they're both 10 game tick engines. So not only does it make it better to use this instead of what would normally be a repeater line, this is actually better. So at the very end here we have, these are just two small stations, and these basically just push forward whenever the machine gets pushed forward, so they'll automatically just move, and these are basically just self-returners. So that's what that does. And basically, also yeah, you can see it'll kind of just punch out the next layer. Yeah, okay, so this needs to be here. Oops. Okay, so the next thing is basically, actually, yeah, let's actually take a look at this machine. So everything is detected off of when the player's fly machine gets back, so that observer right there. Basically, it triggers this piston, which is exactly how we create the looping cycle. So this is going to brief extend, and then this observer is going to be powering the piston, which is going to retract it. This is a trick that I originally saw XCOM use, and I just found it interesting, so I've used this in like a bunch of my Slimestone projects now. That's very convenient and useful. So, well, yeah, I mean, shut up. Anyway, so basically, this is the whole kind of stepping system for the machine. So this tells it when to move forward. So whenever this piston, once it retracts, there's also this observer. This here is just a bunch of delay, so that whenever this piston gets triggered, basically, so after this piston here gets triggered, after a certain amount of delay, this piston will get triggered. But there's a way to stop it from just going again while moving forward, which is simply removing the piston. And that's exactly what this whole bottom system here is for, because the piston feed tape just directly links into that, and then that basically, and yeah, you can see here, it gets triggered, and that's how I double pulse this piston, and these basically just activate two machines which launch those fly machines in sync. Okay, so that's pretty much how the machine works. Everything else is pretty much just a pull. Once again, the disc shouldn't be too hard to build. It does need quite a bit of pre-filling. There's a lot of hoppers here and stuff. Other than that, it should be somewhat reliable. We built this up on Hypnos. It does have a few issues with breaking it, at least in the overworld. I think mainly the issue was water and lava mixing to create cobblestone, and that basically, oh yeah, it's also really slow. I mean, for like, we broke just what were the dimensions of EPS? It was like 640 by 640? Yeah, so we broke a 640 by 640, and that took like over a month, or actually it's still going. Yeah, but it's pretty much almost done. So yeah, here you can see the machine self-returning. We don't talk about that part, Chess. So yeah, that's pretty much how this system works. Also, there are a few dragon eggs at the very end. You can obviously just move these stations more, and then that would basically prevent the player from having decks just fall out over the end. Or you could alternatively just get rid of some of the droppers here. That would also be good enough. But yeah, so this is also kind of the reason that we can't have the bot placing dragon eggs both, this is kind of the reason that we can't have the distribution stacked every 128 blocks. So this player needs to return, which is an issue because I needed to break 5 layers, and I needed to, what do you call it? So here, I guess I can actually, alright, I guess we can stop the machine. So from this machine, when it's returning, there's slime here, so the dag's not gonna fall. Now you might be thinking, oh, put this here, that's just as easy. And this was another issue that I kind of just generally wanted to avoid. It's easier to do a 5 binary piston feed tape, or, well, no, actually it's not binary at all. It's 5 signals. So I decided to do 5 instead of 6. So if I were to do 6, I can go from here to over there. And well, you might think oh, well, it's still okay if it breaks an extra layer, that's not going to really do anything. But it doesn't break an extra layer. There's eggs here. So this is just going to leave extra dragon eggs, which isn't going to be as nice. Because the idea would be that you would use this exact piston. Well, you could probably modify it, to be fair. Like, maybe make it 6 high instead, so have, I don't know how you would really do this, something like that layout. So each segment here is also kind of special. So there's always going to be a system to push the machine forward before it gets triggered. So especially with these distributions, if this gets triggered, and the player would be sitting here, basically, we still want the player to pick up the dragon eggs. So I made pretty much perfectly timed systems to push the player, or sorry, push the whole system here forward, which in turn basically moves the whole system here forward, which is exactly why we need the fence gate. We did try it with just a sandstone. The player does seem to pick up most of the dags, but yeah. Well, basically, this kind of has some randomness to it for some reason. I have no clue. I haven't really tested that. But yeah, other than that, the whole system is actually quite good. We built, I think, so on Hypnos we built like 7 of these distribution lines. And for just this distance, it was about 3 hours for both me and Chez to build up the full thing. Yeah, we did insane speedrunning, and we also, or actually, did you Twitch stream it? I'm not sure if you did. But yeah, anyways, there was basically a bunch of, the whole thing was very easy to build. There's also really not that much cost to it. It's quite basic, there's not much slime or anything. So this would also be quite good for a basic server to build. But yeah, it's pretty much just sandstone, but even that, there's not even that much. Yeah, so you also need an instant fall setup, but those are actually surprisingly easy to make. Also, it's not really, like, that hard to do. Yeah, also, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be, like, irritating Penta after to make an instant fall tutorial. So, yeah, look forward to that. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the breaker. Nothing else is pretty much important. Yeah, definitely sub to Chez. She did the whole edit, and oh my god, it looks perfect, holy shit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.